So I just swapped out the Shogun for the Bridgestone because I've been thinking about it a lot lately. So I went and grabbed it out of storage. We already, cleaned the seat tube, aligned the fork, started messing with it. We're going to build it as a single speed. I just wasn't really happy with the parts choices when we were doing. So I've got enough other parts to build the bike I think I'll be happier with. And I'm taking the Shogun out and taking a day off from it because we have a surprise for tomorrow. So there'll be a new cool video tomorrow about that. And you'll see why I put the Shogun off. So what I'm thinking is I have enough random cool black junk lying around to build this Bridgestone. I've been sort of collecting parts for it, kind of decide if I wanted to go black or silver or whatever. So the plan is I got like 3 hours till I have a thing. Let's see if we can build the bike in like 3 hours. And I noticed it's got these cool Sugino cranks that were on a different single speed. These are the ones we did the little alignments, they're slightly tweaked. I realized these cranks would be really perfect for a third project I have down the line. So I'm going to pull them and save them for that because I got some exciting super compact chain rings. I got a Tiagra 10-speed group I've been sitting on since last summer. And I have a frame which might be perfect for it. It's a little more modern, might be cool, but I'm trying to decide if I want to go vintagey on this old 1992 Bridgestone RB2 frame I got. Wowee, I put those cranks on tight. Dang. So first thing I gotta do is strip all these old parts off, and then we'll party with the new parts. And the new parts are like a total mismatch of stuff. I got some black Originate single speed cranks that came off this like white Originate bike I bought in like a lot of 2 bikes for $35 last summer. I bought for parts, got a good set of wheels. I really just want a good set of wheels off one of them. I sold the rest of the stuff, but I kept the cranks. I put them on eBay for like a second, and then I was like, no, I'm gonna save them for this black build. And then I had a silver back wheel off that bike that I traded for a black back wheel to another bike mechanic. I got a black, not track front wheel, but like a Shimano sort of deep V. That came right off. Like a Shimano sort of deep V road front wheel. That'll be good, city single speeds and stuff. You're gonna want to throw in the back of cars once in a while and do stuff. It'd be good to pop that wheel off. The higher crime rate would be good to pop that wheel off so you can, lock it to the frame and the back wheel easier. Some other random stuff. I got a black stem and black bull horns with black brake levers. Got a couple of black brake sets. Hopefully each one will fit. This is like kind of short reach and it's not recessed, which makes it tricky. So I got like a medium reach, non-recessed Tektro set. I got a couple of short reach, just black generic brakes. I might have to use some vintagey brakes. We shall see. Here's some of the parts we're partying with. Originate black cranks, black Welgo-y, tracky weirdness pedals. They're on that bike. These Tektro medium reach nutted or brakes. They're all matchy-matchies. Bought a whole bike just for these. Got one black stem, but also got a whole different bar and stem. There we go. There we go. I believe this is the sunlight bottom bracket that came on those cranks. So why not just use them? This cup being a pain. I don't trust it. It doesn't look straight to me. Let me take a closer look. I really don't think it's straight. These threads are really tiny and fine, so it's real easy to mess them up. They don't look damaged. Yeah, it's sticking out like 2 more millimeters on this side. It's making me think that these threads are crooked. There we go. So I forced it this way a little bit. It started real easy, and then I felt like it tight and it jumped a thread. I think they're a little crooked, a little misshaped before. I think now we're on the right track and it should thread right in. But it could be totally wrong. You messing with me, man? Now that side's sunken in a little bit. Maybe we went too far. This is not very common. That old bike's been built too many times. Too many mechanics just hammer shit in. I say this is what I'm doing now. I mean, it's straighter than it was before. You know, this guy looks straight. It's even all around there. Oh man. If I still had a tap set, I would run it through these cranks. Wow. They still look totally fine. Not getting mangled. Stay in the fucking bottom bracket. The Shimano tools will not stay in the Sunlight bottom bracket. Probably says more about Sunlight than it does Shimano. Seeing if I can get any splinters or metal shavings. Yeah, there's maybe a little. There's a lot of paint deep down in here. I think maybe this thing's just dry. Maybe it's not machined as well. That Shimano plastic cup had no problem going in and out. I'll turn it backwards first till it catches. Yeah, it's trying to catch crooked, it's catching straight. It's nice and loosey-goosey. Well, just see that. It's got no problems now. That side's out. Maybe that side's been slightly crooked or being a bit of a brat. Or just needed it out of the way so it can catch. Everything's real smooth and nice now. Sometimes bikes are just weird. Want the drive side in? God, go in. Want the drive side in real tight. I'm going to cinch the non-drive match. It's already most of the way in. Sometimes I go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Real tight. Real tight. Hard to do a fast build when little things are giving you problems. Let's see if these cranks will fit. Oh yeah, wow, that's super wide. It should be real nice when it's pressed on. Here's some matching old 8mm crank bolts that are rusty and scuffy. This frames on the parts are a little scuffy, so they'll be totally matchy and cool. Even though the Shogun video we just did was a frame alignment respacing for single speed video, we gotta do that on this frame too. Wow, 103 bottom bracket. We could probably go a lot narrower. Okay, so before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's go ahead, respace this frame, hopefully as easily as we did the Shogun. Wrapping it around the dropout eyelets, just to give me something to wrap around. Head tube, pull it taut, 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 alligator clip it, pull it taut, taut, taut. Measure off each side of the frame. They're about the same. This one's a little bit farther out, which is good because it's probably the one that's going to want to push in. Measure the inside of the inside. We're at 126. I'm going to try and get this non-drive side. I'm trying to put all my force into pushing it because this one's going to bend a lot easier because they both have dimples on the inside. This one also has a dimple on the outside, so it's a much weaker tube. Try and push in the left hand as much as possible. It flexed, but did it bend? It's still a little looser. Yeah, we're now at 121 and a half. 120 and a half, which is exactly what we want. See if we can get this little totter to measure it and see if this side came in any. This side definitely came in 3 or 4 mils, which is what we wanted. Hey! So this side, this thing is even. We're getting a millimeter or warpiness of this wire. So just like that, we're at 120. The same thing from the old Shogun video. Gonna align these dropouts at 120. Gonna find the witness marks, which is where the paint's all destroyed from the axle sitting forever. Because that should probably be the same on both sides. It's the most likely way with these vertical dropouts. Vertical dropouts? No, horizontal drop. It's the most likely way with these horizontal dropouts to get these things both in the same place and make sure this thing's even. Making sure there's no lips anywhere. These things are pretty in face and parallel to each other. Tightness. But remember, if we did the forks, we might as well just double check it. Yeah, it's perfect. Boomba. What is next? I know it might be a little crazy, a little 2007, but this is pretty badass. It's got Tektro brake levers, it's got Originate stem, which kind of match the cranks and stuff. It's a little wild. It might be cooler just with a cross top lever. We might do something like that. We'll see. That's pretty badass. What? Piece of shit. Piece of shit. Okay, so I'm setting the wheels in here to get an idea. It's getting cooler. It's getting cooler by the second. I want to check these brakes. Bought a whole used bike just for these brakes. Because finding nutted Tektros is kind of hard, especially anything other than the extra long reach. But yeah, look at, ooh, oh, I don't know. Oh, man, I don't know. Oh, I do not know. These pads are like almost all the way up and they're sitting way too low on the road. No bueno. So in true Tektro fashion, one of them totally reaches, the other one doesn't. So all the way up, this one's cool, this one's still like 4 millimeters too low. There's an adjustment bolt, blah blah, but no, it's not gonna work. If we shoot the brake forward several millimeters, that might work. We might be able to add a big spacer under here and get it out farther. Still way too low. Well, it's very sad for this bike, but it'll be great for when we do a 27-inch wheel conversion, which I was hoping this was. I really prefer 27-inch wheeled old Japanese bikes because it gives you room for 732s, maybe even 35s. Gives you room for fenders. Lets mid-range brakes work. Like all these stupid 700C higher quality bikes are really giving me a headache. Let's check the back just for giggles. Yeah, way too low, but might be able to come up. Annoy. I have one other set of black brakes. They're short reach and they're recess nutted. Even with the pads all the way down, I don't know about that. And the recess nut. Not a chance. It's depressing. Got a pretty nice set of silver, medium-y, reachy, no-name silver instead of black, but they match. They're also for recess nut. But it looks like they'll definitely reach. So this is the front. We can use on the back and use it nutted. We can technically get in here with a real small drill and drill this open and do a bunch of sketchy stuff. It's easier to drill the fork crown. But that's a start. It's a start. Sure will work. I've also got one generic mismatched front silver brake that's got the long nut. And why it'd be easier just to mismatch them, I think I'm gonna do something crazy and swap this long nut into that matching set, which still isn't black, so it's still depressing. But it's the righter thing to do. It's got some silver in the logo, it's got a silver headset, machined rims, got some silver machined here. Silver brakes aren't the end of the world. Although I could go to the bike shop and see if they have any black brakes that are right length. So maybe let's just pull this thing apart. So some brakes you can and some brakes you can't. Some are what you'd say swappable and interchangeable, and some aren't. This one looks like it might be, so we're going to go ahead and try it. The spring's been trying to fly out and take your eyeball out. Oh, no, not too much tension. It's got this little nut that holds it in off. Spring. Don't really care if this breaks, so I might not even try and save it, put it back together. Now I can unthread this long bolt from the front. It's got a little black washer, it's got some nice pivots and things. We might rob any more parts out of it if we can. Cool. So we're going to replace this long front into this short rear. So we can make this the front, and then this rear probably has enough threads on it. This old front, I mean, probably has enough threads to actually go through the rear and become a nutted brake without messing with it. Little trick. But let's see. See, these are the same threads. Hey, they are. So that's a real good start. And that did not pop this spring out and loosen it. So we have to do this manually. So I just pried it out with this wrench. Not mix them up. Probably should be taking pictures. Dropped one little part. Uh-oh. No idea what part, but I'm guessing it's sat in there against the spring. Luckily we have the matching one to check. Yep, sits in there against the spring. And this is... come on. Oh, there we go. So I jacked it up all weird to get access to this bolt. We still have to make sure this head will fit and be interchangeable. And not lose any bushings and things. Oh. Come on, buddy. Come on. It's not happy. Drop some lube in there. Drop a little bit of tri-flow right on those threads. Maybe a little in the middle, maybe a little under the head, just to be safe. Wiggle it back and forth, retighten it up a little bit, so you can get that lube in. Ooh, I see. There's a little hidden set screw on here. Little hidden set screw making all the problems. Loosening that up, and now we'll see. There's a little washer in there, a little washer under this head. This is looking pretty good. It looks like it's probably the same company who made both of these, or ripped each other off. There's a little metal damage in there. So we can't just slap it back together. We got to kind of open it up and get these burrs out of the way. Probably for me trying to turn this out with a set screw in. See the little metal threads and shavings little mangledness. Trying to make sure there's no burrs in there from those old damaged threads when we put the new ones in. Come on. And fit. I know the threads are the same. I know they both have washers. We just have to hope this head fits into this old recess. Come on and fit. 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 Oh, fits. Not too tight. I want it to still be able to move. Cool, cool. Somehow we got to get this old spring back in as well. And this little Springer guide. Just, I'm going to put it back in this hard spot. And turn its little nut back in to hold the spring in place on the top. And then we'll come down and fight this one. And double check against this, make sure that looks right. Looks right. Now this is like an old 70s Diacomp tool for putting springs in. But you can make one out of any old little hollow piece of steel or tubing, or I've done this with like a cut off piece of seat stay. And with any luck, I can just force her up and in. That pad's kind of in the way. Ha! Snap right back in the spot. Cinch this nut down. Seems great. Don't forget to turn that set screw back in to booby trap us in the future for no reason. And there we have a new front brake. And it is definitely long enough. Now we can either rob a bunch of hardware off of their brakes or go to our handy dandy bag of tons of brake blocks and hardware and find the stuff we need with any luck. So this little smaller, tighter concaveness is for the back. Small and tight, a nice big block. This one's a lot more open. Let's see if we can compare the two. So this one's a lot more half round, this is a lot more small tube. So this is for the front. Just a little spacer, because, you know, Tectros always come with them. I love brake hardware. Alright, I'm going to do a Tectro spacer, this little half round, another half round, and a nut on the back. We'll see what it looks like. This bike will look cooler with black brakes. It's cool. Now we're going to take this old front, nice tight little spacer, nice tight little spacer and a nut. Bangarang. It's perfect. And we've got modern dual pivot-y, all the silver brakes. I do have some silver bar endy levers. I might swap these out for silver ones that make this thing a little more cohesive. Or just swap it out for cross tops. Like, whatever, man. Like, whatever. Definitely going to do some new pads on these. So I got some Jaguar brake pads. I tried using them on a different bike. They don't have any built-in toe-in adjustment. So they're functionally worthless. So I'm just going to steal the brand new nice pads out of them to put into these existing shoes. It's a shame because these are black. Should look cooler. Maybe I'll try them again and then decide what I'm going to do. I also found a couple of black Nylock lock nuts. So that'll add some coolness. That'll add some coolness to these brakes. Now I could put more scuffy silver levers in. Or we could just switch straight over to black cross tops. These would be cooler. I popped these levers in with silver and black. I think it goes with the theme a little bit better and matches matchies. Found a basically brand new chain. And let's see if it's long enough to fit. Oh, this chain is just a couple of lengths too short. That was so sad. I was off that track bike, which makes sense. That'd be real short. I do have this brand new cool chain, which is something that was never actually popular, but I've had a few of them. I thought they were cool. And it's black and silver. And look at that, plenty long. That's cool. So I have this wheel basically in the front of the dropout, so I'm going to put this chain on a little bit loose, and then we'll slide her back to tighten her up. So I started getting the tires and tubes in, but I realized I didn't have a tube with a long enough valve for that deep V. And I realized I needed some bar tape, so I ran out of Tomcats and got bar tape and a tube. I also went ahead and just cabled and housing this thing real quick. I had some Shimano housing and some new stainless cables and popped them in, popped those black brake pads on here. I'm going to give them a shot, see if we can get them just enough not to squeal. So I just got to pop this back tube in and wrap the bar tape, bolt the wheel in, tighten down this brake housing, and then this thing's ready for like a test drive probably tomorrow. I sort of waited too late and ran errands into the dog park and to dinner and all that. Now it's too late, it's dark out. But we'll get this thing ready. And of course, no bike shops in the world ever carry all the size tubes. I carried all the size tubes in my shop, and I was real proud of myself because I'm real picky about tubes. So this one's a size too small with a valve that's one size too long. I want a 728 with a 60 mil valve. I got a 725 with a 80 mil valve. There's just no winning. It's hard to carry $1,000 worth of bike tubes, especially when there's only like 4 or 5 common sizes. Anything extra you carry is just being too nice. Oh, this tube is so small. Gross. Boom, tires and tubes. That pulls all the way back. Ooh, tight spot, loose spot. Tight spot's fine. Loose spot's fine. I'm just putting on the single speed side because it's more reasonable. Just gonna kind of rough in the pads. The pads are stupid. Cable seated. Pull this guy down, just rough it in. A little rubbing alcohol. I haven't wrapped handlebars yet for this channel, which is crazy for being 90 videos in. I do it a very special way. It's very different than most bike mechanics do it. And I've had a lot of bike mechanics I've worked with. I've had bike mechanics that are employees, and I don't like the way any of them did it. Sort of self-taught. It's wrong, but it works better. Especially with this weirdness, I do like to... God, it's been so many years since I wrapped bars. I don't even remember how I did this style. Guess we'll just start and figure it out. Definitely starting all the way under. And I like to tape. I like to hide the tape under so you can't see it. But I don't like this end to come undone, or if it's on drop bars, the bottom end. Mechanics come undone all the time, especially bar and shifters. So I tape these dudes into place and pull her taut. Overwrap slightly. I think everyone says I do it backwards. I like to pull the bar tape pretty tight. Guys like to leave it loose so it's more comfortable, but then it always just slips and comes unwrapped. And you get weird gaps. It's one of the reasons why I hate like Chinelli tape, which everyone used to say was the best tape. because it was so soft that it would tear if you tried to wrap it tight enough. It came in all the cool colors, but then Planet Bike Tape came in all the cool colors too. It was just as soft, half the price, didn't tear. I'm already starting to make it a little tighter on the inside, a little looser on the outside, even though I'm not even. Not even to the bend yet. Past the bend, so we can start to make this a little bit more even. They're pretty even. Look around, make sure there's no gaps. You want it to be real flush on the bars. You've got to cut these guys at an angle. So I'm cutting it straight with the stem while I'm pulling the tape over an angle like I'm going to do another wrap. Come out of the way. A lot of guys mechanics just cut a real short angle, walk away, tape it. I don't do that. I like to cut a real long angle, pull it back, and then keep that angle going for inches and inches. This way I can keep my wrap going like normal and have it be real squared off. Very square, very nice. Always holding the bar tape down, holding it taut. Now I can pull this with my tape right at the edge. I don't hang it off the edge, and if I do like a millimeter. So the tape will roll over onto the bar tape, but not actually get on the bar at all. I like it as the tape starts and ends on the bottom, so you cannot see it. Get this real square to the stem. Pull this pretty tight. They come with little stickers for doing this. That's the worst. Don't use it. Pretty tight. I like to do like 4 layers so it'll actually stick. Guys argue about whether you should tear it off at the bottom or cut it. Doesn't really matter. I used to always tear it. Just had them scissors. I used to always tear it because I thought it would hold better, but I don't think it's really true. So we cut it, push it up there, and we have a nice clean line. Same thing, I think I started with the outside roll wrapped in. I think everybody else does it opposite or something. I usually test ride a bike before I wrap it. I don't really care. We'll see what happens. This stuff is like a gel back instead of a tape back, so it's easier to unwrap. Just a little bit of tape, and you can see I definitely wrapped one side a little tighter than the other. Oof, several wraps tighter. Or the tape's slightly different, which is pretty unpro. It's good to really try and make it all uniform and the same. This one's definitely got a few more wraps on it, so it's probably got the shorter side of the tape. Doesn't really matter. Most people won't really care. I like saving a little extra scraps of tape. They come in handy for random things once in a while. Checking the hubs for play. Wiping off the extra grease around this headset we just installed. The stem we just installed. A little bit over there. Do some double checks, like eyeballing the stem. Try to make the stem make sure it's in line with this front tire. Pointing dead straight. Looks like it's off this way just a little bit. Sometimes I stick my foot up under the tire to sort of hold it straight. Dick. That's way off. I've got a kind of a low working tension where it's loose enough I can slip it around, but tight enough it's not going to fall or move a bunch. Sometimes you jam the front tire into something, keep it from moving. Make sure the bar is tight. I go on test rides all the time, the bar slips, even though I think it's crazy tight. stem's a little cruddy too. I'm gonna try and clean it off. This brake lever looks pretty even. This one might be a little bit. Oh. Beautiful. The pedals are tight, the cranks are tight. Just tighten the wheels down. So for the headset, I like to make sure it's real buttery smooth. Sometimes these cables and housing will add a little bit of spring tension to them. But you can see it's buttery smooth. And then you grab the front brake, try and rock back and forth. And really you want to do it sideways so you're not actually feeling it rock against any play in the brake itself or the pads. I feel no play. So hold this bottom cup, grab this top cup, and just, my knee against this wheel so it won't turn. Try and just lock this top cup down without it turning the bottom cup. Making the actual, so it's like a lock nut being tight without actually messing with the cup that does the bearing tension. See, it's still buttery smooth. With no play. Got the headset adjusted. The rubbing alcohol hold off those rims. I will have to do a final brake alignment check, in the light, and not in this horrible stand up against my doorway, which is very, very hard to check or use. Probably lower the seat to a reasonable height. It looks totally insane to me. Getting everything just dialed and ready for a test ride. Let's try some Goo Gone. Not Goof Off. That stuff destroys paint and makes things gross, but Goo Gone works pretty great. Cool. These pads are so bad, I might have to steal the pads out of these holders and put them back in the stock holders. Because they just suck so much. Well, I decided that these black Jaguar unadjustable pads are just way too much bullshit. I can't get them to do anything, and they sit bad, and the hardware is like chewing up the brake arm a little bit, so I'm going to switch back to these stock gray adjustable pads, which are very toe-in-y. I'm just going to clean them up. I'm going to swap the new rubber into these pads, because this old rubber is rock hard. Spraying them down with some basic simple green you can get at any sort of Fred Meyer's, Kroger's, like most hardware stores, just anywhere. It works pretty good on grease and it's inexpensive. Flipping the quick release open. Just make a little extra room. Perfect. Yeah, it's just chewing these up. It's a terrible design. It's like they just sort of looked at a real brake pad and were like, how can we make that the cheapest clone possible with just stock hardware we can buy someplace else that kind of looks like the right hardware. So now we got it all together. We'll just remove these little set screw dudes. It's all the way out, bud. And they should just push right out. Of course they don't. Why would they? A nightmare. Sometimes when I'm pressing pads in, I'll have to use a vise and pinch the pad against the housing to get it in, but usually they come right out. See if we can give it some gentle persuasion. Woohoo! Junk. And then the old little holsters, which are actually good, they have a concave shape instead of being totally flat. And a concave washer, so it really lets you tow them in. They move around. You can go up and down a little bit. So if you get brake squeals, you can just loosen and retighten these pads. Sometimes wiggle them. And get rid of it. Those old ones, I wouldn't be able to do anything. And that's how it's supposed to work. It slides right out. Junk. So, nice old replaceable holder. Got a left pad. Slides right in. Retighten the set screw to make sure it goes into that little hole in the rubber so these things won't slide out or fall out. Bangarang. Left, forward. So, even though not marked right or left, you can tell because the open end should never point forward. Because as you're riding your bike, and you squeeze the brake, you don't want that friction from the wheel to yank your pad out. The open should always point away from the direction your bike's rolling. Sorry, little bike, that I tried those evil, horrible pads on you. We'll do a little adjustment once they're both on. We can squeeze them and do stuff, and might adjust them again in case they squeal. Of course, one of these little set screws was in so tight it's rounded out. I tried and get the wrench in there. Sometimes they do that, you can, and this stuff's all metric, so sometimes when you do that you can go get the standard sizes and they're slightly different, so you can get a sort of force fit, a slightly oversized standard one in there and get it out. Sometimes you can't. For any stuck or broken off head thing, really some locking pliers are pretty great for that. It took me 4 or 5 tries to get the tension just right. To get it on here will actually grip without slipping, especially this really small head. I couldn't even get it to lock because I had to grip it so hard. I usually get them to lock. And then I fought it, and then finally I got it to move. But now we're down a set screw. So I'm gonna see if magically these ones off the old horrible brakes are the same. And it looks like they are. They do have a smaller Allen hole. They do have a thicker head, which will be easier to grip. If they ever strip out or are super annoying. So now I just gotta decide if I'm just gonna swap just this one, like a lazy piece of shit, or if I'm going to swap all 4 of them, so it'll be matchy and nice. And I'm gonna say all 4 to make it matchy and nice. Because we have all 4, the head's better, so why wouldn't we? So now I got all 4 of these switched over, so I'm gonna finish installing these. Pay attention to the hardware and the washers. Make sure you know the way they came off and why they work the way they do. You can't just leave parts off without understanding them. It'll always cause problems. So this has a big concave washer that goes up against the actual holder. And this has a little skinny washer that goes up underneath the bolt. Keep it from marring and digging in. Look at all this adjustability on these. It's crazy. Now I can kind of squeeze the brake just a little bit just to sort of hold these pads in place where I want them. You always want this style pad as low as possible on the silver exposed braking surface. You want to be able to see some silver on the top because as they wear out they swing up a little bit. So they swing in, they swing up. So you really want to put them as low as possible so they don't start hitting your tire as they roll up, as they wear out. When we're on cantilever style brakes, it's the opposite. And we always double check brake pads because it's so easy for them to get cockeyed or moved or whatever. So once I get these other 2 on, it'll be time to test ride. So with the full housing run, you can't exactly just pull the cable to tighten the brakes up. So I'm going to reach back here and make an adjustment. So it's being very annoying trying to do this and see the brake and pull it. So I used an old trick where I used a toe strap and strapped the brake lever down to make the brake nice and tight. And let it go and use 2 hands to come over here and hold the brake where I want and tighten it down. Now this bike's ready for a test ride. Well, that was a quick test ride because not a lot of shifters to mess with or anything, but this bike handles great. It feels super fast. It feels like in a really stretched out, leaned over aggressive position, even though it's actually pretty close to level with the saddle. It felt really fast and comfortable and nice. It reminded me of all of my favorite fixed gears and fixed gear conversions I made, in my 20s and early 30s. The gear ratio is great. I only rode it on the freewheel side. I'm sure the fixed side's great. Yeah, the old Bridgestone 400 turned out awesome. I always set my bikes up with just a cross-top lever. I don't want to do a single cross-top up here. So you have to stretch all the way out to brake. I'm usually here or here. We're going really fast. I want to have quick access to the brakes. I'm down here anyways. But right here felt real natural, just like a drop bar. But yeah, this thing's hot. I might ride this all the way, 5 or 10 miles each way to go to to my favorite grocery outlet store. I need some cheese so I can make a pizza later and everything else. So hopefully I'll put some miles in on it, see what we think. So thanks for watching.